Yo, what up, y'all? Welcome to Lunch with Lyrical. I was doing lunchtime bars, but sometimes I just want to talk to y'all, you know what I mean? So, let me talk to y'all. I'm here in lovely Alexandria, Virginia. I mean, parts of it are lovely. Had a drive-by shooting yesterday, so it wasn't that lovely out in front of the house. But that kind of stuff. But right where we are, inside the little townhouse spot, it's kind of cozy. I want to talk to y'all about conspiracy theories. I've been posting a lot about conspiracy theories, and just from the standpoint of a mathematician and a scientist. You know, a lot of y'all have probably heard, if you've had a statistics course before, you've probably heard about probability, and more specifically about the multiplication property of probability when you're doing successive events. Like if I was to flip a coin and I was to get heads 3 times in a row, that'd be a 1 out of 8 chance, because it's essentially 2 chances on each flip. So 2 times 2 times 2 would be 8, or 2 to the third. If I do something 5 times in a row, it's 32, and so forth. And it quickly grows, right? That's the power of exponential growth. But if you have a conspiracy theory that hinges upon the impossible happening like 20 times in a row, and the impossible is not just 1 out of 2, right? It could be like 1 in a million or 1 out of 100, and then a string of successive events that you have to concoct for that to be believable. There's a premise called Occam's razor, which talks about that, and it's like the fundamentals of it are the simplest answer and explanation is the most likely, right? So the convoluted thing that hinges upon the previous attempt and the previous attempt and the previous attempt or action, right, makes the multiplication property that much less likely to have landed in favor of that one unique conspiracy theory, right? So that doesn't rule out its probability. It just makes it very, very slim, as a slim chance. So when I hear really tough concocted Pizzagate kind of conspiracy theories, and I get it, right? I get that everybody wants somebody to be guilty if they were, or caught, right? If they were in a scheme of something as heinous as what was reported to have been behind Pizzagate, right? But just because you report a heinous thing, it doesn't make it true, right? So, and then, when you think about just the probability that Hillary Clinton would be running a pedo ring, right? Just that probability alone, right? As a public official who's in high scrutiny, who has the cameras around her all the time, Secretary of State and running for president, right? Formerly in the White House and so forth. This isn't something happening behind closed doors. This would be something happening outside of her closed doors at some other institution, right? And then when you see a trail of the evidence that actually isn't true, that's reported true by multiple outlets, and that you can verify, right? Like it was reported that this place had a basement in it, right, for people playing ping pong, whatever. But the truth is, it doesn't have a basement, right? And that some of the photos of Obama playing ping pong there were taken from a picture in the White House that was posted by the owner, right? So when you start finding these things that don't add up, that are sort of the fundamental tenets to why the conspiracy theory was spread in the first place, you have to go back and question those, right? And then check the motivation for why that was posted and see what's behind it. So what I want to say to most people is just remember the source of who's posting these conspiracy theory videos. These are for-profit web pages, usually on YouTube, that are raking in serious coin by views, right? So I'd like to see the views go up on some non-conspiracy think. Yeah, it can happen. Yeah, the CIA and so forth, they're involved in, covert operations. By definition, they're a spying entity, right? They're charged with security as the underlying idea. You can understand how surveillance would come into play. Now, are they upholding, the Constitution? Not always, we've seen, right? So it's right to question, it's right to think about things. But when you're interpreting the probability and the likeliness of something that's happened, consider that multiplication property for successive events, right? It'll quickly rule out a lot of the crazy kind of talk that you hear out there. And then when you think of that probability, even if you're thinking that maybe it's the 1 in a million chance where it's true, do you want to go stake your livelihood on that and go bring firearms to the scene of the supposed crime? Think about it. All right, let me know what you're thinking. Peace. Let me get to this lunch.